what I take every day at 2 p.m. This is called fluoxetine or Prozac. Apparently Prozac's the American version. Bottoms up. Introduce myself. My name is Dami Fawehinmi, or you can call me Sunny, or Melanated Sapphic, the Chaos King, whatever you want. Between those, as far as I've come across names that I've liked. And today's video is going to be about taking antidepressants. These particular ones also help me with my anxiety, so I'm just going to be answering a few questions that you guys so beautifully sent to me over Instagram, and also just kind of filling in any gaps that I feel like would be necessary to bring to this video. Oh yeah, some of the things that I'm going to be trickling into this video is also about, I might make it into a whole different separate video, but this is just going to be like little bits as well. The impact that antidepressants has had on my creative career, and whether it has impacted it, the positives and negatives, all of that. I would just like to add a trigger warning. I will be talking about mental health, mental illness, antidepressants, medication, side effects, all those kind of things. So please beware of that. So let's start. So my first question is, how differently can the side effects vary between each person during the first week? So from oh yeah, that's another thing. All of this is based off my personal experiences. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. Some people are going to need a completely different form of medication to what I'm taking. They may need a higher dose or lower dose, or they may need therapy as well. They might not need therapy. They may need their own forms of therapy, anything that can be. And that's exactly what works for that specific person. So I'm just going to be talking about from my perspective. So my first week was pretty rough, I'm not going to lie. I remember I'd be taking it like I'd be taking it before I went to bed. And the thing about this specific medication is that it gives you more energy, and it's basically just to raise your serotonin or dopamine levels, one of the two. Guys, I did not do science, but I know it's supposed to raise something because you are depressed. It needs to raise your levels, make you like balance out all the imbalances that are going on in your brain and your body, etc, etc. So for me, I took mine at night, and I found out I wasn't able to sleep through the night anymore. I'd be going to bed at like 7 a.m. I'm not even kidding, 7 a.m. And it just like, I'd feel so foggy during that entire week. I felt terrible, I felt groggy, and honestly I was thinking about like not taking it anymore because I was just like, this doesn't feel great, this feels horrible. So I then did some research on Google, and people were saying who also took the drug were like, you should take it during the day because of that rise in energy it gives you. I guess it kind of just be like taking monster energy before you go to bed and then being surprised that you're still awake. So I started taking it at 2 p.m. instead, and eventually my body just kind of regulated itself with the medication, and I was able to sleep through the night again, and I started to feel much more like myself. So for the first week, some people might not have any side effects. Some people, myself, might feel really, really tired, really groggy. They may need to find a specific time of day that works for them. I have a calendar reminder on my phone every day at 2 p.m. to take my medication. So yeah, during my first week, it was very groggy, very slow, and it just felt horrible. But by the second week, I started to feel like just things were clearer. And as I go on, I've been on them for about a year now. I think the best way to describe it was kind of like, you've got all these tasks and all these worries and all these things to do, and they're all just like flying past your face like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you haven't worried about this, you haven't thought about this, and it's just so chaotic. But with the antidepressants, what I've noticed is that it's so much easier to process. So it's kind of like a matrix. I think that's a matrix in a way. Everything just kind of slows down, and you're able to see one thing at a time, and you're able to concentrate on that thing, and you know there's other things going on, like it doesn't just vanish everything, but you're able to process it more, like it's in within arm's reach or whatever. So been on it for about a year now, and honestly I have no intention of stopping. I've done my research, I know it doesn't have any long-term effects, but where I am sitting right now, I don't have any intentions on coming off it because of what it's just allowed me to do and how much it has helped me. Next question. So 2 of my friends said no questions, just proud of you. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I like talking about my mental health and about what I take, because it helps me also, because it's like teaching me that there's nothing to be ashamed of being on antidepressants, like absolutely nothing. You know, if you tripped over and skinned your knee, for example, you take ibuprofen, and if you were feeling depressed or had anxiety or whatever it may be, you take antidepressants if that's the route you want to go through. So, you know, you're just fixing what needs to be fixed and putting a plaster on it and healing yourself and taking those necessary steps. Do they make you feel foggy? Not anymore. I think the first week was really rough. Don't know who that was. Yeah, the first week was really rough, but where I am now, a year later, I don't feel that way. Some people may need to go on a lower dosage. I don't know if there's a lower dosage of fluoxetine, but I know that some doctors may prescribe you to take more or less, or like take in half, or I don't know. But there's also other drugs that you can take. I think the process of going on to antidepressants, you will call your GP, they'll go through like a telephone call with you, or this was during the pandemic as well, so that I had a telephone call. But you might have to go in and see your GP. They'll ask you about your experiences and what you've been going through and say, okay, we're going to start you on this, or you might want to have this. And it's really different for everyone, and I think that has to be really respected, because when I started taking antidepressants, I was in therapy as well. And I did find it to be quite helpful to have both of them. I'm currently not in therapy anymore. I'm looking for a new therapist, preferably one that's black and trans, but that's besides the point. But I do find for some people that they do say like a bit of both really helps them. I know some people like myself who only have antidepressants, some people who only do therapy or like traditional therapy, or they may have other forms of therapy. Like there's art therapy, dance therapy, cooking therapy, walking therapy. The list is honestly endless. You just find out what works for you. And it is a slow process. It could happen tomorrow. But I think that's kind of part of the journey as well. Like I found getting back into writing has been so helpful for me to just get it all out onto paper, especially if I have those nights where I can't sleep, and that has nothing to do with the medication, that's just like the anxiety. That's another thing to say. I don't want to say that my anxiety is completely gone. I would say in terms of my depression, I haven't had a depressive episode in over 2 years. I haven't had a panic attack in over 2 years, and I do think that's because of the antidepressants, but also because of the methods that I've been taking in order to heal. Like talking about my issues more, not feeling that like you might feel like you're a bit of a burden whenever you talk to your friends about it, but that's what they're there for, and you're there for them to do the same as well. And it is just so beautiful to have those outlets. But I think having multiple outlets is really helpful. Like I love my job, for example, and being able to make other people happy makes me happy. That's a form of therapy for me. Being able to write in my journal or whatever, it really helps me. Even if I'm going for like a really short walk, because I live in quite a naturey area, that helps me so much. So yeah, I think where I am now, I still have like the anxiety. I might be up at night and thinking about something, but in terms of the severity I had before, I don't have that anymore, and I'm really grateful for that. We're going to be talking about being on antidepressants as a creative. So I think like I remember seeing this, or it might be on TikTok or Twitter, but it's like, what if I lose my sparkle? And I won't lie, that was something that was really like a big worry of mine, because my entire creative career of what I built has been off my own personal experiences. So I'm kind of thinking, if I'm going through something and I want to talk about a specific element or something happened in my life, and the steps that I get to go through that is because of how my brain is wired, then I'm worried that if I, change it by taking antidepressants or healing or whatever it might be, that's going to go away. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons why I wasn't taking antidepressants for so long. But it got to a point where it's kind of like, I'm not helping myself by being in this dark place, and I really want to get help. So yeah, I just went to my GP, we had the phone call, they were asking me a lot of questions like, how do you feel? And I have been on fluoxetine before, that was about a couple years before, but I was only on it for like a week because of that fear of losing my spark. So I started taking them in 2020, yeah, it's 2021 now, so yeah, 2020, near my birthday in December. And I was just so fearful. Like the first week of feeling all that grogginess, I couldn't get any work done, I couldn't think straight, and I was just like, if this is what's going to be, like I can't be on these. But I think once my body just started to get used to it, like not having those billion and one things coming at you, it made my work so much better, and it made me so much better. And I think because so much of my work has to do with other people and myself, it's kind of like that whole saying that you can't pour from an empty cup, and now it feels like my cup is overflowing and I can help other people's cups be overflowing, and it's just a really great feeling. So this has been my personal experience of being on antidepressants, and for my anxiety, for my depression, it's just been really helpful. And I identify as non-binary, so I think for other non-binary black people, it's certainly a journey of all the experiences that we go through, positive and negative, and for some period of time we may have to go through that alone, and that really sucks. Like I only found my chosen family when I came to Newcastle for uni, and honestly they saved my life. Like I love my friends up here, they're freaking love them. But going through those years where you didn't have anyone who was like you, it's very, very, very lonely. And I think being able to have another outlet, I kind of lost my train of thought of where I was going with this, but it's just another outlet to basically be happy and to feel safe. So I think, yeah, for other black non-binary people, I think, you know, if this could be a story for you to feel like, okay, I don't know what journey to take, I want to try other things, I'm really nervous about taking antidepressants, there aren't people like me who are taking it, or people I can speak to who are like taking it, please DM me. I would love to have that conversation with you. Just know that you're not alone in this process, and I hope that by me speaking up, it helps other people as well. Even if you don't identify as black and non-binary, please DM me. I would love to speak to you, because I just want to normalize antidepressants and be like, it's a great thing that we have available, and if you feel like you want to take that route, it is a nice route, but just know that everyone's route is going to be different, and don't beat yourself up if it's not looking like how other people are taking it, because it is your body is not going to react the same way. Like, I've taken some that has nothing to do with mental health, but I've taken medication or I've eaten food that just my body doesn't like I'm allergic to kiwis. I can't have kiwis, therefore I won't have kiwis, and I won't be like, oh, I wish I could have kiwis, because I know what it does to my body, and I'm cool with that. The same with antidepressants. I know, you know, if someone else can eat a kiwi, that's fine for them. I can't eat a kiwi. If I'm another person who can't eat a kiwi, we can't eat kiwis, and that's great. And our body can eat other things or do other things that are also really amazing. That might have been a really bad example, but that's all that came to mind. So I found some questions online, and I thought I might answer them from my point of view. Also, I don't know if I already mentioned this, but the reason why I'm dressed so cozily is because I'm in one of my favourite rooms in my house, which is the living room. I would call this the living room. The other room's the dining room. And it's just so cozy in here. I've got Bowie behind me. Bowie's asleep. Bowie's nocturnal, so she's not gonna be up for a few hours. And I'm in my PJs and I'm feeling very, very warm and cozy. And I thought this was a great attire to film this video. So a question is, will depression get worse before it gets better? And I think that's a good question actually. I think it's like, and I'm gonna say this word probably a lot during the video, but it's a journey. I think it's, like I said, with the side effects that I had during the first week, it was just like so much had been piled onto me. And besides the fogginess, it was also the depression and anxiety did feel like a lot more, like brought more to the forefront, because I think my body was just kind of be like, what the hell's in our body? We're trying to get used to this, and your body's freaking out because it's like, what the hell is this? And that also brings more worries to the top of it. So, you know, all traumas that I've had or worries that I've had, it was very present during that week. So I think it's also because I was going through it during a pandemic, it wasn't like I could just go around to my friend's house and be like, can we just do something and keep busy and really like feeling just out of it at the moment. I couldn't do that. And, you know, my mum has been like my absolute anchor, my saviour and everything, because she was just so supportive during that week. It was kind of like she'd make me tea if I couldn't sleep, or we'd just talk out, or we'd just stay as busy as we could inside, because it was during the pandemic, innit? So I think if you're taking antidepressants now, it is in a bit of a better situation, because like if you wanted to go out with your friends, or if you just wanted to go out alone, you can get out. If you're not very much like an outie person, you can stay in and tend to your plants. I have a lot of plants behind this camera, and I was watching, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, but I think it was The Haunting of Bly Manor, and the gardener just related to it so much because she told a story about her childhood, and it's kind of like, you have these plants, you nourish them, you kind of don't expect anything from them because they're plants, but when you see them grow a new leaf, you see them grow, like you help them do that. And also plants will do whatever they want to do, and it's just kind of beautiful to see them grow and be like, yeah, I had a part in that, I like that. Don't know what has to do with the question, but I do think I'm talking about during that first week, it can get worse. So I would recommend before you start taking it to maybe set up a plan, and maybe set like a month-long plan for when you start taking antidepressants, of things you can go, people, emergency contacts that you should have. You should really have emergency contacts, because even though I've been on it for a year, your body could flip like that. Like, you've heard of people that, you know, suddenly become allergic to peanuts after having peanuts their entire life, and then just something changes. So I have like my mum, a few of my best friends on my emergency contacts, just to be like, if anything ever happened. Thankfully nothing has. But also, you know, just places you can go if you ever feel like a panic attack's coming or a depressive episode. Methods, also food as well in abundance, because obviously I was at home, so my mum was cooking, I was cooking, so it was fine. But I think just in case if that first week or that first month is really rough for you, just making sure that you've got everything in place to be like, I'm going to be able to look after myself if I get to those points. So yeah, I think the depression can get worse before it gets better. Even without antidepressants, sometimes, like, if I talk about something specifically that I've been healing from, I've only got to a point now where I do feel somewhat healed from it, and it's perfectly okay to think about the past. That's not a bad thing. I think we talk so much about, oh, if you think about the past, you're doing a disservice to yourself and stuff like that, but the brain doesn't work like that. The brain's gonna think what the brain wants to think about. And I think, sorry, that sounded really mean, but it's true, like the brain's gonna do what the brain wants to do, and there's very little that we can do to stop those intrusive thoughts, but what we can do, we should do. So if you're thinking about taking antidepressants, or you're thinking about a form of healing and you want to take those steps, don't be afraid, because you're doing the best service to yourself. So yeah, it can get worse before it gets better. Some things have taken me like a weekend to heal from, some have taken me years to heal from, and I'm still healing. And I did notice that going through that process, the antidepressants made it a bit easier to get through, but the depression was still worse first. Will antidepressant medication change my personality? What's interesting is that if I talk to my friends about who I was before the pandemic, before I started taking antidepressants, before my mental health like really went into like the shit, and versus who I am now, I would say I am different, but certain elements of myself are still the same. Like, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't fight. Like, I'm more like a just, like on Twitter, I'll block and report, or just like cut that person out of your life, because life is too short to have toxic people in your life. So I think in comparison to who I was before, I take less shit. I'm like, be kind, but take no shit. So I think that's something that having those antidepressants and taking those healing methods has really, really helped with. But I don't know if I would say it's changed my personality, or maybe it's just made me realise things more that I don't like seeing in my life, and I would prefer to have an impact to change that. But if you mean like you suddenly wake up and you're just like this very, very happy person, it's different for everybody. Like, I think this past month I've had a brilliant month mentally, and I'm just like soaking up as much happiness as I can get. But I don't know, it depends on the person, really. I think for me, I would say yes, I've changed, but there are still parts of myself that haven't changed and I like about myself, or that I'm still working on myself that I don't like. So yeah, it's a process, it's a journey, as I've said multiple times. I love that word. But yeah, it's different for everybody. How long will I need to take a medication for depression? I think I've been on it they do an assessment every 6 months. So I remember I needed a refill, and they said, okay, it's time for your first assessment. So it's basically like the first assessment you had when you first started antidepressants. It's just usually, mine was a phone call because it was during the pandemic. And they were like, okay, how you doing? How you feeling? Do you feel like you still want to stay on this? My answer was yes. And they just call your pharmacy and they get you restocked. But I think for everyone it's really different. I really recommend you check out this podcast called Black Girls Living. Vic and Jazz, the best podcast. Like, literally my Spotify Wrapped was them #1 for most listened podcasts, and I was not surprised at all because I freaking love them. But I know Vic was on antidepressants, and I think she was talking about weaning herself off it. So it's really different for everyone. Some people, they just don't want it anymore and they wean themselves off it. It's very important to wean yourself off it and not to go cold turkey, because remember, your body is like, it knows that this pill is coming, it knows what it's going to do, it knows how to handle it. And then if the next day you stop taking it and you stop taking it continuously, your body is not going to react positively. So it's important to keep on doing it. So some people might feel like the depression is much more manageable or completely gone. It's possible, and they will wean themselves off antidepressants. Some people will stay on it for a long time, and both are completely okay. No one is better than the other, no one is worse than the other. You are doing what your body needs. As I said at the beginning, remember, everyone's journey is going to be different. Just because someone stopped using antidepressants like a few years ago and you're still using it, that is not a bad thing. Your body needs it, and that's perfectly fine. So how long would it take for medication to cure your depression? I think looking at it as a cure, for me personally, has been, for me personally, I've always looked at mental health as something that I'm just suddenly gonna wake up and not have mental illness anymore. But I've kind of changed it to being like, it's a part of me and I'm perfectly okay with that, and I love it, and I love having it because it's not fabulous, but it's a part of me, and I want to learn to love myself wholeheartedly, and it's definitely still a journey I'm on. So I think doing what my body needs and seeing what it needs. So if I do get to that point where I feel like I've managed it and I don't think I need it anymore, then yeah, I will probably wean myself off it. But it's different for everyone. Some people will be on antidepressants for a year, 6 months, few years, their whole life, whichever one works for them. Yeah, it's really different for everyone. I can't say, like, I remember asking my therapist once, like, how long do you think it's going to take for me to get over my depression or to get over my anxiety? And she's like, there is, honestly, it's like no one wants to hear it, but there is no time scale. She can't tell you, she's not you. You have to figure it out for yourself, and you might not get there, and that's perfectly okay, but ensuring that you are taking necessary steps to look after yourself in that time. And the highs will come, the highs do come, and that's probably one of the best things about it. You will have happier days, you will have better days. The sadness cannot win forever, and it rarely does. So I think just taking all those moments and little pockets of gold and happiness into your heart, it sounds so cringy, but it's true. So yeah, that's one thing that I think having been on antidepressants has really helped with, is just living in the moment more, and whenever happiness comes in, just riding that like so long, forever. Just be like, okay, I'm happy, I'm gonna soak up this moment. What if I still experience depression symptoms? That's perfectly fine. You know, some doctors might recommend high dosage or a low dosage or a different medication. But yeah, so on this website it actually says, if you've been taking antidepressants medication for longer than 6 weeks and you're still depressed, you may need a higher dose of different medication. Tell your doctor if you're experiencing symptoms and if it's time for a change. So just to reiterate, I am not a doctor. I did not go to medical school, God forbid. I barely passed science. I think I got like a C and a B, but Lord have mercy, I am not qualified. So I'm just going to be saying again, off my personal experiences, it's perfectly normal to still experience it, and there's nothing wrong with you. I really want to change that narrative. There's nothing wrong with you. It is perfectly okay to have these symptoms, to have these feelings, to need to change medication, have a lower or higher dosage to find out what's right for you. So I don't know what this is called. Ow. I actually got my medication here as well in case you want to see the box. But I don't know what it's called, I keep forgetting it. But basically it used to have the days of the week on it, but it's kind of rubbed off as it's been in my bag. And this is what my fluoxetine came in. It comes in different boxes every time I get it, but it's the same, which is really weird, but different suppliers, different whatever. But yeah, fluoxetine capsules, there's 30 in here, which is enough for a month. You take 1 a day, mg. So yeah, that's me. I'm gonna get another one in January because it's December now, so I have enough until January. But that's on repeat prescription. You just talk to your GP to get that done. I got mine done through the GP receptionist actually. I think they can just do it at the computer, which was a lot easier than having to schedule a GP phone call just to be like, can you just refill it for me please? Thank you. But yeah, purchased one of these. They're super cheap. I think this was like £2 off Amazon or eBay. So I've had this for a long time now. Don't forget to wash it as well, because remember, you are putting something that's going to be going into your body. So keep this clean, wash it, just, you know, a bit of fairy, make sure it's rinsed out really well, dry it, and then pop your pills in there. Can I drink alcohol with alcohol with antidepressant medication? Yeah, I was gonna agree with the same answer. The effects of alcohol on a person who's taking antidepressants drugs will vary. For me personally, nothing happened to me. When I did first start taking antidepressants though, I was also taking iron tablets, and I knew when I did start drinking and the pandemic started to lockdown started to ease up a bit and I was drinking, I was going out again, it did make me feel very woozy and horrible, and I just stopped drinking for a while. But then my anemia went, which is great, so I'm not anemic anymore, and I just take my antidepressants and I feel nothing. And I found I don't like getting drunk. I've gotten very, very, very tipsy, like maybe a drink away from being drunk. I just don't like that feeling. I don't like feeling completely like out of not being able to control my body. That's just me personally. So I do like drinking, but not to get drunk. I just like the taste of alcohol. But I do find that you know, with what I take, the dosage I take, me as a person, what my body is doing and everything, I'm fine with it. Some medications will say don't drink, like period. Some will be like chill. Some will be like, yeah, it's fine, do whatever you want. But please remember, it's on your personal experience. There might be someone who's exactly on fluoxetine like me and they can't drink and it just makes them feel horrible. But yeah, I found I've been able to drink. I personally love a Coke with the vodka raspberry. It's very good. But my favorite drink has always been mojitos. And yeah, nothing really happens. So I've just seen a really interesting article on here about 5 ways to cope with depression during the holiday season. I'm gonna end the video after these next 2 questions, because it's not really a question, but next 2 things. I find that seasonal depression hasn't gotten me this year, and I think it's because I'm in a place where I'm really happy. I'm living in Newcastle in my dream flat, well, somewhat dream flat. Like I don't know if I've said this in the video yet, but I do want to find a new place in Newcastle next year, just because I love like the life of this house, as people on those house TV shows on Channel 4 always say, the house has character. But I'm more like sleek and newish vibes, like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, just those sleek and new flats. I love those. They're a bit more me, but yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll find one, touch wood. But yeah, so I found that being able to be around my chosen family a lot more, being able to go out and about after being in a pandemic for so long, and being able to decorate my flat exactly how I want it, and just having a good relationship with a lot of people around me, it's really like, seasonal depression hasn't hit me this year, touch wood. But yeah, I'm gonna chalk it down to the fact that my body has felt very completely used to being on antidepressants, and also just because of my environment has changed a lot, it's really helped me and my mental health. Last year my seasonal depression was jack shite. I just got my endometriosis diagnosis. We were like in the bulk of the pandemic, this like the peak of the COVID deaths and everything was so high. The Black Lives Matter movement was happening, so much was going on, my brain just couldn't process it, and I really had a rough time. But what I have found this year is that one of the best ways to cope is to, oh my god, I thought my fire alarm went off then. I was just about to say, like, I ain't cooking anything. I haven't cooked in like 2 months. Jesus, okay, that kind of scared me for a bit. But I do find that, I'm just gonna wait for it to finish. Let's shut the door. Ah, that helped, okay. So I do find, like I said, when you're about to take antidepressants, even if you've been on antidepressants, I think when you think you might go into another depressive episode, or you're about to enter an environment that has caused you trauma before, you're just not sure about, even if you've never been there before, it's causing you anxiety, etc, etc. I do think setting up your own personal care package is really helpful. So I'm just going to list a few things that's in my care package. So my journal, loads of stationery, Bowie. This is a non-physical care package, by the way, but Bowie is my emotional support hamster. Yes, that exists, and she is the best emotional support hamster I've ever had. So yeah, Bowie, my plants, at least 3 friends that I can call if something happens, my mum, books, oh my god, going to get books, and TV as well. So just being able to set up, okay, if something happens, this is my emotional support television program, which is literally just The Simpsons, but I'll be like, I'm gonna go to Poundland, I'm gonna get popcorn, I'm gonna get candy, I'm gonna get the most comfortable blanket I can find, and I'm gonna snuggle in bed, or I'm gonna go in my car and I'm gonna drive to the nature park, and I'm gonna go look at some ducks and take some photos and write some poetry. Just basically, it can be a list, or it can actually be a physical box if you want it to. Just don't put your hamsters and your pets in there, because that's very unfair to your pets and it's very bad. But yeah, it's kind of just your own personal support care box, just what you need, and you have access to it at any time, anywhere you are. And I do carry a lot of that in my backpack actually. I've always got a journal, I've always got a book, I've always got stationery. Can't bring Bowie everywhere, but I know when I get home Bowie's gonna be there, so I do love that. And my friends, you know, I can always call them if I want to meet up and just take my mind off it and just not talk. It's okay if you don't want to talk about the problem there and then. Sometimes we just need a distraction, and I think that's perfectly fine. Like, I might be like, do you guys want to go to the Metro Centre and just walk around, or go to Build-A-Bear? It's perfectly fine. Or I might need to sit down and just be like, this is what's been going on, I really need to talk to someone about it. And I'll just go with what my body needs, listening to my soul more. So I think when it comes to the the holiday season, if you haven't got people around you, if you are, for example, going from your university city back to your home city, you haven't got a good home life, I think still setting up that care package can be really helpful, knowing that it's for you and you personally, and that has to be respected. I think I just want to end this video, this might be it, I just want to end this video knowing that if you, or not knowing, saying that if you want to talk, please DM me. My Instagram is @journalsofdami. I might not reply quickly because I'm a slow replier, so if I'm posting memes on my story, please don't take that personally. I just love posting memes and I just need a bit of mental time to process what you've sent me. But also another thing, and this is for you personally, like please prioritize yourself during this process, because especially if you've been in kind of like a position like mine, I very often prioritize other people's needs over my own, and that's not very healthy, that's not very fair on yourself. And you might be like, I really need a day to myself, I can't respond to any messages, I can't do this, I can't do that. Perfectly fine. Please give your body what it needs, because if you stress yourself out to the point of being burnt out, it is horrible. It's a horrible place to be. But also, that being said, where I'm at now mentally, I can take DMs if anyone needed help or questions about taking antidepressants, or what my depression journey has been like, or my anxiety journey has been like. It's just gotten a lot easier to do since taking antidepressants. And I just hope this helps other people as well. So yeah, just phone up your GP, have that phone call, and please stand your ground. If you feel like it's not working, if you want higher or lower dosage, they are there to help you. And I feel like the mental health system in this country needs like a complete like smackdown re-establishment, because you know, not enough people are getting the help they need when they need it as soon as possible, as the degree that they need it. So I think a lot of doctors would just be like, I'm just gonna give you that, and you're gonna be like, this isn't working for me. They're like, oh, just give me more time or whatever. Like, no, you know your body as well. Yes, this may be a new drug that you're taking, but you deserve to be listened to, and they owe you that. Like, we're paying taxes, bruv, paying taxes. But yeah, please stand your ground, and I hope that this video helped anyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But I really did enjoy filming this video, and I hope it helped. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.